Planning Commission. Since it's a little different format, please do the chair a favor. And if you're talking or want to talk, please get my attention. Say, like, this is Cindy, I want to say something. So one, I can see who's talking and so everybody knows who's talking. Other than that, I think we're ready to go unless somebody else has a question before we start. Okay. So the first thing we need to do, Jordan, I guess, is go ahead and take the roll call.
Okay, I will do that. Commissioner Dreer.
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson.
Yes.
Commissioner Preston.
Present.
Commissioner Weir. Commissioner Weir. Right. Commissioner Wiley.
Here.
Commissioner McLean.
Here.
And Chairman Ashbaugh.
Here. Okay. The first items on our agenda is we have several continued public hearings on the agenda. The case, the first case, the second case, and the seventh case have requested to be continued to the same meeting, the May 12th, 2020 meeting. So if we could, unless there's an objection or somebody has a question, I'd be happy to entertain a motion on continuing those cases.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Preston.
You have the floor, Mr. Preston.
Thank you. In the matter of case number 15, correction, gotta fix my glasses. Case number 19-400-05 and case number 19-400-08 be continued to the May 20 meeting.
I don't think we're ready to do that. Really. It's on the agenda. It's items number 1 and item number 2 and item number 7.
That's right.
Okay. Did I get that? I mixed them up then.
Well, that's okay. It happens. You want to give her another shot, or you gonna punt?
I defer to the numbers as cited by the chair, and the motion stands.
Okay. Well, do I have a second?
I second.
You have 3 seconds. Just pick one. Virginia, did you second?
I did.
Well, I'm going to give it to you because at least we can see it today.
And I even put perfume on. Can you smell it?
No, I can't, but just bring it next time, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So unless there's any discussion or I believe we're ready to vote on the continuing those cases.
Okay, Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Chairman Ashbaugh.
Yes. Cases 20-100-01, 20-200-01. If I said it wrong, the first one, 20-100-01, 20-200-01, and 20-310-01 have been continued to the May 12th, 2020 meeting. Moving along, the next item on our agenda is case number 20-200-07, special use permit for 16920 East US 24.
Okay, this is an application by Chelsea Gentry for a special use permit. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, for a body art shop at 16920 East 24 Highway, Suite D. The site is just east of M291, west of North Jennings, on the north side of US Highway, of the highway, as you can see from the drawing there where approximately it is. Okay, this is the zoning for the area. As you can expect, the segment of 24 Highway is a combination of C1 and C2 zoning. The site is again in the black circle in this instance. You've got some residential property to the north, which is mostly the golf course actually, and then commercial property on both sides, and then across the street with residential property south of the highway commercial corridor. This is the future land use map, and it proposes commercial. This is for this site, which it is zone C2. This is an aerial of the site with it in the red circle. The property has two similar strip center buildings. The applicant's building is on the left of the two buildings. To the north is the forested property owned by the Winterstone Golf Course. Various restaurant, retail, and office uses surround the property on all other sides. This is the zoning map for the area for the subject site. Again, that's the applicant's property there in the middle. That includes both buildings actually. And then the area in the circle around it that shows all the people that were notified as part of this application. Okay, here we're looking north from 24 Highway at this the building where the applicant's unit will be in. It's that one that's directly in front of us with the curtains in the window and the sign missing on the canopy. Okay, this is another shot of the same center. Here we're looking to the northeast slightly. It shows some of the other businesses that are also in this strip center. You've got a pizza place on one end, and then some insurance and hair salon, that sort of thing on the other end. This is immediately to the east. This is the other building that's also on the same property. You've got an income tax place and some offices and some couple vacant spaces in that strip center. That brick building that you see off to the right is actually a hair salon. It was a house at one time. I think they use it as a hair salon now. This is the building that's to the southeast across 24 Highway. Got a little Goodson's restaurant there, and then the Boost Mobile. And then the Senior Citizens Tower off to the left is on Jennings. Here, this is the building that's directly across the street from the applicant's property. It was open as a flooring and design store for a little while, but I guess it has closed. Here we're looking west down 24 Highway. As you can see, the Taco Bell, Burger King, and so forth. This is pretty much a typical 24 Highway. There's a lot of restaurants, drive-through restaurants out there along 24 Highway. This is the property that's immediately west of the site. Priority Dental's been there a few years. They're in the process of remodeling their building, adding on to it, make it slightly larger. This is just this grass area at the bottom of the screen is between the dental property and then the applicant's building. And here's another picture of the applicant's building. At this time, taken to the northeast instead of the northwest. You can see the tantalizer there and the insurance office lawn, and then the applicant's unit there, and then the pizza place on the end. Staff does recommend approval of this application with the following conditions. The applicant will maintain all applicable state and local licenses, and this permit is restricted to Unit D of 16920 East 24 Highway. And as the staff report noted, this is for a body art shop, but it's really relates to tattooing in fashion for other personal care items, not strictly tattooing. But the applicant here is here to answer any questions.
Take the floor.
Well, in a second. Thank you, Stuart, for your report. Does any of the commissioners have questions of Stuart? Okay. Yes, Ms. Chelsea, please state your name and address for the record, and you may tell us what you would like us to know.
Okay, I'm Chelsea Gentry. Thanks for having me. I'll warn you, I'm not very technical, so bear with me. I wish I could have done a PowerPoint like that. That's not going to happen. Like I said, address is 16920 East US 24, and we're in Suite D. There will be a sign someday, I hope. So unfortunately, we got started and got the building remodeled within a few days of the shutdown announcement. So we have been here a handful of times checking on it, and nothing's happened here yet. So we're hoping to open sometime right after the shutdown ends next month. So like I said, we are hoping to have a body shop, I think they call it. I'm a cosmetic tattoo artist and esthetician and laser safety officer. So we're actually a small med spa. So we do lots of corrective skincare treatments, work with pigmentation disorders and anti-aging, acne, things like that. But I do a lot of permanent makeup, and part of that is kind of a cosmetic restoration. So all of the body tattooing that I do is restorative. So I work on pigmentation disorders or post-surgical scarring. So I go back and actually restore the skin to look like it's a natural pre-cancerous or pre-surgical state. So I don't really do any traditional body tattooing.
Sure. We appreciate you telling us that. We've had a couple cases in the past. I'm not sure all of our commissioners have heard all, a shop like yours. So some of us are familiar with that. So thanks for letting us know that.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you will be able to open soon. The only real question I would have is, you are okay with the city's recommendations that, you maintain all your state and all the licenses you're supposed to maintain? All that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Does anyone else, any one of the other commissioners have questions of Ms. Gentry? Okay. Thank you. We'll open the public meeting, see if anyone else is here to speak to that. Okay.
Okay.
So is there anyone else present in our meeting who is going to speak in favor of this case? Is there anyone here who is opposed or who has questions? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing portion of this case and ask the commissioners if they have any questions of city staff or Ms. Gentry, or observations or motions.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve case number, where am I? 20-200-07, special use permit for 16920 East US 24 Highway, Suite D.
Okay,
I second.
Okay, Commissioner McLean is moved and Commissioner Wiley seconded. Unless there's any further discussion, I believe we're ready for the vote. Stuart.
Okay, here,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir, you're not there? Nope.
Yeah, I'm here.
Commissioner Wiley? Oh, you are, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, on that one for you, Mr. Weir. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
and then Chairman Ashbaugh.
Yes. Case number 20-200-07, special use permit for 16920 East US 24 Highway, Suite D, has been approved. This request will go to City Council on May 18th for the first reading and a public hearing, second reading at its June 1st meeting. So good luck to you, Ms. Chelsea.
Thank you. I appreciate
You did a little too prematurely. But...
Could you, city staff, could you not be so trigger happy about shutting me down?
All right.
The mute button. It's okay. I understand, but I just wanted to just try to do my job, man. All right. Our next case is case number 19400-10, short-term rental at 11431 East High Ridge Drive. For this city present their report, please.
Okay. John Horton intends to operate a short-term rental from a small home at 11431 East High Ridge Drive. It will operate on the Airbnb platform. So our first picture here is a slide here is the vicinity map. You can see this is located right northeast of the intersection of I-70 and 40 Highway, basically right off Blue Ridge on High Ridge Drive there. Surrounding zoning, of course, that area all north of I-70 there is single family residential. This is an overview, so you can see it, the backyard abuts the right of way on the Blue Ridge entrance onto the 40 Highway exit there, right before the 40 Highway interchange. There's residences to the north, and of course down the street to the west, going all the way to Sterling. The renovated house and property is easily accessible to the stadium complex, nearby shopping and dining options. It is a one-car garage, Cape Cod, with a single car with concrete driveway with room for two vehicles to park easily. The homeowner plans to limit the number of guests by this is a 3-bedroom property. So essentially we're talking 6 adults. They will stay for 30 days or less. The plan for dealing with unruly guests and noise. The applicant's property manager will keep the noise in check by not allowing more than 2 visitors in addition to the 8 guests. Parties will not be allowed. Should they break this rule or make a lot of noise, the property manager will first request that they lower the noise level. If that continues, the property owner will inform Airbnb and have the guests talk to them. And then as a last resort, there's the police. As far as handling traffic, the property can accommodate like I said, 2 vehicles in the driveway and at least one, if not more, on the street in front of the house. Excuse me. The applicant's property manager will call parking enforcement if there's any parking issues, but in this quiet residential area, that probably won't be the case. The property will be maintained weekly. We'll have sufficient CO2 and smoke detectors and fire extinguishers. The site's been inspected by our fire department and the building inspections division, and provision has been made for trash pickup as well as required by code. So real quickly, we'll go through the photographs of the neighboring properties, the vicinity. First, here's the site plan showing the dimensions of the property, the house. This is the house, small Cape Cod there. The one house to the east, and then looking down the street to the west, where the majority of the neighborhood is. And this is the neighbor that lies to the north. And this is looking back toward Blue Ridge and the Blue Ridge Bridge over I-70 off in the distance there. So staff recommends approval of this case with the following conditions. The short-term rentals shall obtain a business license in accordance with the city code and comply with Article 3, Chapter 5 of the city code. The occupation license number shall be listed on all advertisements and all online platforms. And number 2, the short-term rentals shall secure refuge collection from a collector who is licensed to operate in the City of Independence. Number 3, the short-term rentals shall provide the safety requirements outlined in section 14.420. And number 4, only 6 guests may stay at the home at a time. And that concludes my my presentation, and I'm ready to take any questions.
I just have a question, mostly because I don't remember. We've probably talked about this, but I think I'm correct in stating this. This is the first one we've looked at where I'm not sure, but is the owner is not a local owner? Is that correct? Just looking from
I believe John Horton lives in Austin, Texas, and the property owner is the one that's.
That's correct. The owner is in Texas, and then I'm the property manager. I'm here local in Kansas City.
Okay. Well, my question, Brian, was, and that's fine. If the owner decides to sell and a new owner comes up, but it's still managed by the same property manager, then do you guys try to keep track of who is actually owning the property, or you just kind of do that because you can know what the county says who owns it? Or do they require to interface with you guys?
Yeah, being new business license, different owner. New business license, different owner. So we just continue then.
I don't understand what you're talking. So
Well,
every year
we'd
they
have
have to do
to-
a new business license, correct?
We'd have to revisit this case.
Go through the
process again. We'd do the process again.
So this is Cindy. So to clarify, you're saying new property owner, new business license.
Yes. And new short-term loan rental approval.
Yeah, unlike typical zonings and special use permits, home businesses and short-term rentals are granted to a certain person, not a business or location. So when that person leaves, the short-term loan, short-term rental, or home business terminates.
Okay, so, and I think that's what I was kind of trying to get to in a roundabout way, is that because it's professionally managed, the owner still has to take responsibility of the licensing and everything,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, are there any other questions before we bring Kristen on of the city staff? Okay. Would the applicant please appear or speak before us?
Hi, this is Kristen.
Hi, Kristen. We just wanted to know if you had anything else you would like to share with us about this property or about the case.
The only thing, I mean, really, it's just, you know, a short-term rental that we are looking to have over there. The property is really well maintained. I make sure that it is very well maintained. We get it mowed every week. You know, so if there's any issues like that, we make sure that they're addressed. So it looks nice.
Okay. And forgive me for this, but I should have had you state your full name and address for the record.
Oh, okay. My full name is Kristen Doppelt, and my address is 407 Southwest Stratford Road, Lee Summit, Missouri, 64081.
Okay. And the only other question I have, the commissioners may have other questions of you, but is you're in agreement with what the city's requiring you as far as their recommendations and licensing, correct?
Yes, definitely. We want to comply with whatever we need to, for sure.
Okay, well, thanks for stating that. We appreciate that. Do any of the commissioners have questions of Ms. Kristen?
I think my question is, do the homeowners around this house know who they can contact if they have issues with any of the short-term rental people?
Yes, I've reached out to both neighbors, and they have my contact information, and I let them know, and I gave them, we also have 24-hour maintenance, and they have the 24-hour maintenance line as well, just in case they see something funky.
Okay.
So yeah, we're in good communication with the neighbors.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. Kristen?
Yes, Joe.
Yes.
Do you know, did the owner buy this home specifically to do this?
No, it actually, prior to this, it was occupied by a long-term tenant. And then that tenant moved out, and he was having some trouble renting it and didn't want to sell the property. So he thought about, you know, going down this avenue to see if he could generate income that way.
Thank you.
And Kristen, you're a property manager, so you probably manage a lot of different properties. Do you also do these Airbnb type homes?
Actually, yes, I focus mainly on Airbnb management. I do a few long-term rentals, but my main focus is the Airbnb management.
Okay. All right. So you're comfortable with doing this type of management?
Yes, I own 2 Airbnbs myself. So, and I've had those for almost 2 years now in Kansas City. So I feel very comfortable with it. And I've been in property management for over 20 years. So I'm comfortable with making sure that the property is well maintained and taken care of.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Do commissioners have any other questions for Ms. Kristen? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Kristen, we'll ask if there's anybody else here in our meeting that would like to speak in favor of this case. Or anyone here who's opposed or has questions? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing portion of this and ask the commissioners if they have any comments, motions, etc.
Sure are getting a lot of homes that are owned out of state.
Are we? I don't recall. This is maybe one of two that we've talked about, isn't it?
I'm not. I don't remember. That's why I said that's why I asked the question at the beginning. I asked. I don't recall. It seemed like everybody else had been local owners.
Yeah. I think this is one of the first ones we've had where the owner has been out of town.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't see how else you could do it, but manage it. Manage it. If you're going to have it managed, you might as well manage it locally. The only thing I would be uncomfortable with is if it's an owner who's not local and a manager who's not local. And I don't know if our ordinance addresses that or not, but I am not comfortable approving those type of situations myself. But Kristen has experience and she's local, and I would think it'd be okay, especially if she's reached out to the neighbors. So I don't know if anybody else feels the same way or not.
That sounds reasonable.
Okay.
When we did the regulations on this, we didn't stipulate that the ownership had to be local. Therefore, I don't see that this ownership being out of town is some impediment to approval of the case.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Okay. You know what I'm waiting for.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve case 19-400-10 short-term rental at 11431 East High Ridge Drive.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Preston,
Okay.
second.
Commissioner McLean moved and Commissioner Preston seconded. So unless there's any objections or further questions, we are ready for the vote.
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Chairman Ashball.
Yes. Case number, whatever it is, case number 19400-10 short-term rental for 11431 East High Ridge Drive has been approved. And that's it. We're the final say on this. So, Ms. Kristen, thank you for participating and good luck to you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Our next case is case number 19-400-05 short-term rental at 635 North Delaware Street. Would the city please present their report?
Curtis and Brenda Languish intend to operate a short-term rental from a recently renovated home at 635 North Delaware Avenue. A short-term rental permit is required for this operation. So this is the vicinity map for the area of North Delaware Street and College. It would be the southeast corner there of that intersection. So this is in an area that's in the historic district, as well as being a single family zone neighborhood, R6. So the surrounding uses are all generally single family homes. As you can see from this picture showing that Delaware Street corridor there. Here's the notification map of the area. The owner plans to limit the number of guests for each stay. How they will do that? They have it's a 3-bedroom with 1 full bathroom and a quarter bedroom that would sleep up to 8 adults and possibly 2 children, be 10 people. Booking agents will inform prospective guests of that occupancy limit. How the owner plans to handle parking, as you can see from this picture, there's room with the setback from the park line there for at least 1 car closer to the tree for on-street parking. Delaware, College, there to the left, doesn't allow parking on the applicant's side of the street. Off-street parking, the traditional driveway for this lot is actually from the rear, and we will see a picture of that a little later. The parking requirement would assuming the required improvements that would most likely be needed are done, would meet code. However, neighbors in the Truman Heritage District have expressed concerns about the adequacy for parking in this area, and was mentioned at an earlier Heritage Commission meeting prior to the previous time this application came before you last year. Any additional vehicles obviously could be ticketed by the police. The owner plans to address loud or unruly guests and complaints based upon the detailed information set forth on the booking website that indicates guests may not host events or parties or large gatherings. The applicant states that since they live in the area, neighbors could contact them about noise issues when they arise. If unable to resolve the issue with the guests, of course, then there's the option of contacting the police, obviously. This site has been inspected and approved by the city's fire department and the building inspection division for the community development department. Real quickly, we'll go through the pictures. This is looking south down Delaware, across the street from the house. This is the northeast corner of the intersection of Delaware and College. This house is directly north of the applicant's property. This is looking on up north up Delaware. And this is looking at the northwest corner, or the south. This is looking at actually the southwest corner, looking directly west across from the applicant's property. And this is looking west up College from the intersection there of College and Delaware. This is looking directly at the applicant's property from the north across College at the north side of that house. And this is looking on down toward Best Truman Parkway down there. And this is that rear entry, which, as you can see, it traditionally had a gravel driveway there, which has faded from existence and would need to be reconstituted here, which leads me to the staff's recommendations for approval concerning the special use permit. Number one, the short-term rental shall obtain a business license in accordance with the city code and comply with Article 3 and Chapter 5 of the city code. The occupation license number shall be listed on all advertisements and online platforms. The business must comply with all standards established by Section 14.420 of the city code. The short-term rental shall provide the safety requirements outlined in Section 14-420. And then number 4, referring to this driveway issue, pave the existing driveway and the needed on-site parking spaces. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm ready to take any questions you may have.
Okay. Does anyone have questions of Brian?
I do.
Yes.
How many parking spaces can be in the back?
Well, we need at least 2 of the parking spaces to be back there of the 3. They have one available legal on-street parking in front of the, yeah.
But 2 cars can park in the back?
I mean, yeah, this driveway wraps around and goes on up the hill. What's left of the driveway that historically existed there.
Okay.
Any other questions of Brian?
I do. This is Chairman Rick or Commissioner Rick Dreher. Hey,
Okay.
I thought we were on the platforms. Were we specific on what platforms were we supposed to use? Or is Evolved Vacation Rentals one of the platforms we're authorized to use? Or are they supposed to be VRBO?
We don't know anything specific, no.
Okay. So their insurance and their regulations, does it go with
Yes.
the same platform, the taxes, the fees, and all that stuff?
That's correct.
Okay. I just never seen or heard of that one. That's why I was wondering.
That's all I had.
I have a question. This is Virginia.
Okay.
The Heritage Commission only has concerns about the parking?
I'm not sure if that was the only concern they had, but it's the one that I was made aware of.
But according to the ordinance that we passed in the fall, there's a limited amount of Airbnbs that can operate in the historical district, right?
Right.
Yes.
Y'all remember that? Okay. And this falls within that.
Yeah. This
Okay.
was one of the early ones we looked at. Right? Yeah.
Got it.
Any other questions? But Brian, I just wanted to be clear that parking is off of the alleyway.
No, actually, that's coming off the street. See that you're looking more south than west here on this picture. Okay.
Okay, I got
So it actually runs right along the back property line, goes over the sidewalk, and then curves around that bush and goes west up to the back of the house.
okay. And there is room. It's kind of hard to see, at least what I'm looking at, if there's enough room up there, but I guess there is.
No, there's more yard beyond around the bush. This is probably if I would have walked onto the property and walked around the corner, got the picture, that probably would have been a little better.
Okay, and there's supposed to be one space or two back there.
Well, we need at least two because we need to provide three, and there's one legal space on the street. Okay.
Okay. And is that just something that you guys are deciding, or is that a decision? Is that the rules in the Heritage District? One house, one code. That we're getting that from our code, from the zoning code, and the license code requirements as well, outside zoning. So it has nothing to do with historic preservation. Okay. Would it ever have anything to do with historic preservation? I mean, are they okay with this because it was used as a parking lot back when Harry Truman was walking around?
It's really about the exterior of the building because, obviously historically it was a gravel drive, but our code requires something paved now in modern times.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Does anybody else have questions of Brian? All right. Let's go ahead and open up the public portion and have the applicant come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
I'm assuming I'm unmuted.
Yes, you're unmuted.
You are unmuted.
My name is Curtis Languish.
Okay,
and
Curtis.
My home address is 1600 West Lexington Avenue, about a mile away from this house.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add to what the city staff told us?
Yes. We bought the house in 2015, approximately April. And at that time, one of the conditions for us to purchase it was that the previous owner put gravel on there because there were some ruts in the drive. And obviously some of the gravel has washed out. It did it on the first year and a half. And then over the years, the grass and weeds has come into it. And before this meeting, before I saw the documents that Brian gave to us in an email last Friday, everything pointed to the, if you went back to the 13th of August, 2019 meeting, before so many questions came up from the public, where the planning commission then stopped the meeting and said to the city, go back and revisit to answer some of these questions. That I'm not sure you got a chance to look at what Brian was going to present at that time, but it stated, and I'm just going to use this to explain some things that I saw in the parking code, that we would have had 2 spots out front and 2 in the back driveway. And there would have been no requirement for paving of any type. But over the time span between August 13th and the time Brian wrote his new document, and other things came up, and I didn't know exactly what they were until he explained them tonight. Mostly about the historic district. And so the grass has encroached on that over the past few years. We have always used that as driveway. Sometimes it's hard to get up in there in the winter with ice and snow, just like it's hard to get up the College Street with the same ice and snow. But as far as being required to pave that, I didn't read that anywhere in the code, but it may be something I haven't read yet. But I'd like to get around the requirement that we pave that. Because that I haven't had a chance to look at any cost of paving, either asphalt or concrete or paver blocks, due to the short notice of just seeing those documents last Friday. But one of the main things I see in the UDO on parking 14-501-10-B, setbacks and the title is setbacks and parking surfaces. If I get down to the bottom where I want to start reading, driveways composed of gravel and other aggregates that lawfully existed before July 20th, 2004 may continue to be used for off-street parking areas, but may not be expanded or enlarged. In order to retain the use of these non-conforming gravel parking and drive areas, the areas must be maintained at all times and kept free from grass, dirt, and other debris. Now, maintained at all times, I would think a person would probably be given a code violation letter or call if there was grass and weeds growing on it. And we haven't received any of those. So my request is that instead of paving, we be allowed to act like this was a code violation and get the parking area and driveway there cleared off of the weeds and gravel.
What you're really saying is you would prefer to put gravel instead of blacktop or concrete, right?
Okay,
Who's
who's
speaking?
talking?
Who's speaking?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Kurt's wife, Brenda Languish. I live at 1600 West Lexington. I'm the joint owner.
Okay.
We're on two different phones.
Okay. It's kind of hard to see. But anyway, that's fine. Just remember to identify yourself, please. Thank you. Okay. I think I understand your request. Why don't we just get this part out of the way first? Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this case?
Could I make another comment?
After I get this finished, you may. Yes. Okay. Is there anyone here who is opposed or who has questions? Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead and make
All right,
your other
this is Curtis Languish again.
Yes, sir.
If this method could not be approved, there's a couple of other methods I'd like to try, but it's going to take some more discussion with people in the city. The second method I would try would be found in the UDO 14-420 paragraph 3, where it mentions a credit of 1 space for every 18 foot of lot frontage may be applied to the off-street parking requirement. Now, if the back lot is not allowed to be parked, and I would hope there'd be some credit, even though you couldn't use the space.
Okay.
Because coming down the side street, College, we have a lot of street frontage there, even though it's in no parking. We might be allowed to park on the other side of the street if that's a possibility to be allowed. Third method might be off-site parking, which would take a discussion with the community development director.
This is Brenda Languish again. I'm going to cut in. I think
Okay.
the reason Curtis and I discussed this, and when we found out that we were going to have to pave it, I was thinking I didn't want to go through that expense. So I think Kurt's just trying to figure out a way to just gravel it or something less expensive than concrete or blacktop. Just.
Well, I understand what he's trying to do. Yeah. Haven't you folks have actually been operating this for a while? Is that correct? As a short-term rental?
Yes, we've been operating it since 2015.
So this one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, this was.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, the chairman's going to speak now. Okay. So where I was going with this is how many times has it been rented out in that period of time? Just ballpark it for me.
This is Curtis Language speaking. We actually got all the furniture in and all the inside improvements we want to do with just a couple. And we started in March of 2008. And I'd say we had 19 last year.
Okay.
2009.
All right. So.
And not everyone uses the back parking area.
All right. Have you actually lived in the home in that area?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, could I have some input from the city staff? Are you willing to talk with this gentleman? Not now, but are you willing to meet with him, come up with some alternatives? Because if you are, I'm not asking you to bend the rules because they're in there for a good reason, right? If he wants to do some other type of material, some other type of hard surface, or if the code is, if he's got some kind of legitimate, grievance about this, I think we could postpone it to a certain time. I don't know. I'm thinking that because we're actually changing the zoning in a way that you guys have always said a change in zoning means that they have to comply with the new zoning. So it would probably have to be a hard surface and not gravel.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's how you guys would approach it. Does it have to be concrete? Could it be brick or
no? It
asphalt?
Asphalt. Theoretically, it could be paver stone. How you do that up that topography?
Well, that's more expensive. Yeah.
I mean, obviously the problem is that it's been unmaintained, and the code specifically says a gravel driveway can be maintained, but it has to be maintained without grass growing in it. So therefore it has to be a paved hard.
And Jordan, you're talking about, this is the short-term rental UDO that we passed in the fall, right? This is what we discussed as a commission. Is that right?
I mean, we talked specifically at that time about parking,
right?
And the concern street parking. So that's why we're making a point of it this time to make sure that there's adequate off-street. But in general, these parking requirements and gravel driveways versus asphalt driveways are an issue in every residential district throughout the city currently. If you go to a house and you have an unmaintained gravel drive and it gets overgrown, we're going to come and tell you you can't replace it with gravel. You've got to put concrete or asphalt or some other hard surface.
Right.
So what's a typical, if you're making somebody comply, then you send them a letter, they have so many days to do it. If not, they get fined or what?
It's generally a code compliance issue, as the gentleman said. A letter would be sent out. They would have a certain amount of time to comply. You know, if they don't comply, a ticket would be issued, a court date held, and all that kind of stuff. You know, but to his point about why he was never cited, we work generally on a complaint basis. So if we don't receive a complaint that it's a gravel driveway that's unmaintained, we're not using our resources going after someone for an unmaintained driveway. But in this case, because they're asking for this use to be permitted, a short-term rental, you know, and the sensitivity of the neighbors in the neighborhood not wanting potentially 3 cars in the street, we need to, you know, find a middle ground there where, you know, there's some paved off-street parking. That's not to say he has to pave this entire run. You know, as long as he provides 2 off-street spots, that's all we're going to require.
Yes.
And you have minimum size requirements for those 2 spots, I'm assuming.
What's
Do you understand the question?
9 by 8. 9 by 18, I think, is the typical parking spot.
Okay.
So if you create a parking lot and you create spaces, you're going to have a 9 by 18 space.
Okay. Curtis and or Brenda, did you hear our discussion? Okay. So they're going to require you to do something, mostly because of the zoning is changing from a normal residential structure to a short-term rental. As long as it's a hard surface, you can talk to them what surface you want to use. It doesn't necessarily have to be concrete. It could be asphalt. It just can need to be gravel.
It doesn't need to go all the way up there.
How much time would we have to get that done?
I am sure that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
I just said we can be flexible on the time.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll work with you folks. And it's not, we don't want to, we're not looking to deny you to do this, but this parking issue is probably very important to the neighborhood.
It's very important.
Right.
Yeah, and you've got at least one person here that I know of that lives in that neighborhood. So, so I don't know if you have any comment or anything else you want to tell us, if you're willing to comply with this and the city staff is willing to talk with you and give you some time to do that, if that's okay with you, or if you just don't think you're going to do it, just if you can give me some feedback, that would be great.
This is Curtis language. I'd like to definitely have a discussion and look at all the points with the city, with Brian.
Okay. All right. I think as long as you, like I said, again, you can discuss it with them, but it's going to come down to agreeing to do some type of hard surface. So was I want to discuss it with him, a commitment to some type of hard surface, or just a commitment to discuss it with him?
Well, there was an old garage there back in the old days. A neighbor across the street said he's been there since 1957, I believe, in a house. And it was and then the neighbor to the east of us, that house, it was a cinder block garage. So there is a concrete pad under that gravel fill. Gravel under the garage down. At some point, they added that ramp of material there to get up to the back of the house. So I'm going to ask questions about that, possibility of using that as a surface, since it's already in place.
Okay.
You have to estimate the width of, I think, what was it, 9 feet? And back
9 by 18 is a parking space. 9 by 18.
Yeah,
So you would
we have to go 30 feet deep.
Plus, you have to have contiguous pavement to that parking space from the right of way, from the street. So you can't drive over gravel to get to it.
Right. So that there's a concrete ramp there, which is visible in your picture.
Yes. And then you'd have to create where those ruts are, some sort of connection up to that foundation. It's a remnant of the barn or shed or whatever. Garage.
The rut that's there, the rut that's in the picture, that's the beginning of the concrete that would have led into that old cinder block garage.
Okay, but you've got a gap there where that you would fill in, correct? Or are you saying that that's eroded fill and gravel that's on top of a base of concrete that's still there underneath?
Correct. The old concrete to that garage.
It's our understanding that the people that we bought this from actually brought some fill in there and kind of created a driveway to go up. So
and they
if we
put
could
that
just,
on top of this. Well, if we can reveal that and it's still there and it's a solid surface, then you can use it.
Okay.
That's why questions of, is it code?
The code is you have to have a solid paved surface.
Okay.
That's doable.
How many cracks per square foot are you allowed?
That's in the code. Oh, and point out the beginning of Brian's talk. The house has 3 bedrooms, so I think the equation is 2 people per bedroom plus 2 more people. So that'd be 8 people. Not 10.
Right. Right. And then possibly 2 kids as well. Our code allows for. So you could have 10.
Okay.
Okay.
And to address the Evolve issue, Evolve actually, they have subscriptions with Airbnb, VRBO, and so we have to comply with everything Airbnb. So like, we have to pay the hotel tax and of course all the city taxes and everything. So yeah, the Evolve management company, that's really not an issue.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
It sounds to me like some work needs to be done before we vote on this. Does anyone else agree with me on that?
I would feel more comfortable if we just postpone this to maybe the 12th, just so you guys have some chance to work something else. So we know what's going to be done. I don't feel like we can just, I mean, they're still able to operate because they're waiting for this, right? So we're not really.
They've been operating for a while.
Well, I know that. So it's like it's not
COVID-19.
It's not a super emergency right now. I think that I would want all the I's dotted and the T's crossed before we vote on this. So
Sure.
If someone has anything to say about that, that's fine. Floor is open. I'm looking at you, Billy.
Well, I can say this. It's rather clear that this is not going to go forward probably in a positive way. Therefore, if this applicant will accept the counsel of the chair, we move this forward and give him an opportunity to present appropriately to city staff with some of definitive plan. That would be my recommendation.
Agree.
Okay. So can I assume that was made in the form of a motion?
I suppose we can convert that into a motion. Mr. Chair?
Well, yes, sir.
In the matter of case number 19-400-05, I move that we move this case forward to the second meeting of May, which
There's
would be,
only
I
one
think,
meeting.
May 20.
No, there's only one meeting in May.
Oh,
And it's-
one.
I believe it's 12th, isn't it?
Shame.
Yeah.
May 12th? Is that
Is
the one
it-
you're talking about? Okay,
Mhm.
so we're gonna,
Move it forward to the one meeting in May.
we're gonna postpone it until the May 12th, 2020 meeting.
I
Okay,
second.
so, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Wiley. Is there any discussion on this, or are we ready to take a vote?
Is there any public comment tonight?
I think I did open it up, and I think I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yes, you
Opened
did.
it up, and then nobody else wanted to speak, so I thought it was just then.
I'd like to address something to the languages.
Yes, you, go ahead, Joe.
We're not pinpointing you all out. We've been doing the paving on all these other short-term rentals too. So it's just not this project that we're concerned with here.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that, Joe. And that's what, everything else looks fine. I just feel more comfortable if we have this driveway thing nailed down, especially because it's the historic district and the folks in that, in the past, when they've come before for other reasons besides this, parking seems to always be an issue.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure everybody's on the same page and know what we're doing before we go ahead and sign off on this. So thanks for bringing it up. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to get with city staff and get it worked out. So that's the only reason we're postponing it. I mean, if you get somebody that wants to stay there, there's no reason they can't stay there. So it's not keeping you from doing anything either. But having said all that, are you guys ready for the vote? Do I have any objections on taking a vote for this postponement? All right, city staff, please call the roll.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Chairman Ashbaugh.
Yes. So case 19-400-05 short-term rental for 635 North Delaware Avenue has been postponed to the May 12th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. Thank you, Curtis and Brenda. I'm sure the staff will be anxious to talk with you and get this worked out, but we'll see you on the 12th.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome. Our next case number 19-400-08, short-term rental permit for 641 South Park Avenue.
Okay, Curtis and Brenda Languish intend to operate this short-term rental from a recently renovated home at 641 South Park Avenue. So this is our vicinity map here near where Lexington turns into Winter Road. They're at West Lexington and Park Avenue. The immediate neighborhood is all single-family residential, although there's some two-family zoned across the alley behind, and some commercial for a funeral parlor to the northeast. Something happened to my map. There we go. Okay, here's the aerial photograph, so you can see the parking lot for the commercial use up northeast. The single-family residence, although zoned for two-family behind, and the immediate neighbors there along the Park Avenue vicinity. And here's the notification map showing all the properties that were received notification. So again, the owner, how does the owner plan to limit the number of guests with each stay? The Evolve Vacation rental bookings website indicates, of course, this residence will have 4 bedrooms. Booking agents will inform prospective guests of the 8-person occupancy limit. And of course, it's 10 if you have 2 children as well. How will the owner handle parking if more than 1 vehicle arrives per bedroom? That's again spelled out on the website. There's a provision for, if we look at the next picture, let's see. You can see the driveway there on the right. So if you park vehicles one in front of another, there's no problem getting 4 vehicles back off street on this property. Plus you have room for 2 on-street parking in front of the house here, as you can see. The owner plans to address the unruliness of guests. Similar with the other facility. The website indicates that the guests may not host parties or events or large gatherings. Again, like we said before, the applicant lives in the area, so the neighbors there can quickly notify him and his wife of the issues. If unable to resolve, of course, there's the police option. The site has been inspected by the fire department and meets the building inspection division's requirements as well. Real quickly, I'll go through the slides. So as noted, the house is on the east side of Park. So we're looking east directly at the house that we're facing west there. This is looking back north toward Winter. Those 2 little houses there are Lexington, I guess that is here. Those 2 little houses up there in the background are on Lexington. This is looking directly up Park toward Lexington. So here looking across the street. And across the street from the property again to the southwest. And this is looking south along Park. And this is the neighbor to the south, or the neighbors to the south. Let's see. The mouse is racking slowly here. Now I went backward. Staff recommends approval of this special use permit with the following conditions. These 3 are the same as the first 3 of the last case. The short-term rentals shall obtain a business license in accordance with city code and comply with Article 3, Chapter 5 of the city code. The occupational license number shall be listed on all advertisements and online platforms. Second one, The business shall comply with all standards established by section 14420 of the city code. And the last one, number 3, the short-term rentals shall provide safety requirements outlined in section 14420.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
Is there any questions of Brian before we bring the applicant back? Okay. Curtis and Brenda, you want to add anything to the report?
Yeah, this is Brenda Langwish. We have both houses furnished with antiques, and I just want to point out that we get a lot of mature guests that just, they come to Independence from, we've gotten people from all over the world, and they're kind of coming for the history aspect. And we give them information on, the restaurants that they can go to in Independence. And we've always had really good, mature guests, and we've never had any problems. And I just wanted to point out that I think that we had professional pictures taken that are on the Evolve site that you can go to. And I think a lot of the guests pick these houses just because of the way they're furnished. And so we don't attract a lot of like young kids. It's more just mature people that are interested in history.
Okay, thank you for sharing that.
This is Curtis Language. Just a little facts about how it started. We purchased the house in March of 2013, and we started in the fall of that year in October with our first guest. And then we've been going pretty strong up until last year. It seemed to drop off quite a bit, probably due to all the vacation rental, short-term rentals that are coming into being. And we've averaged, in the earlier years, we had more than maybe 30, 32 bookings a year. And I think last year it might have gone down to 17 or 18. And we get a lot of repeat customers coming back up here for sports events.
Yeah. All right. Okay, thanks for sharing that. Are there any questions?
One more
Yeah.
clarification. The equation for the number of guests that are able to stay there, it's not 8. It'd be 4 beds, two adults per bed, and then 2 other people. So I think the number of people is 10.
I think the houses were reversed. This one has more bedrooms, and it can have more guests than the one on Delaware. I think they were just reversed on the number.
Okay, thanks for letting us know that. All right. Let's
And
go
we
ahead.
live just right around the corner, so we can just walk over there if there's any problems, although we've never had any problems.
Okay. Well, that's good. We like local owners, so at least I do. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing portion just to see if anybody's here to comment on this case. So is there anybody wants to speak in favor of this case? Okay, is there anyone here who is opposed or has questions? Okay, I don't hear anybody. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion of this. The commissioners have any questions of city staff, the applicants, or comments or motions?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Did you specifically buy this home for this purpose?
That's a very interesting story. We actually bought the former owner also had the little bungalow next to our house that I wanted to buy. And we made a deal with the owner to, if we bought this big house, if he would sell us the little bungalow. He said, deal. So then we had this house, and we just needed to come up with something to do with it. And I have a real love of going to estate sales, and it just all fell together that I found I was able to furnish it kind of neat, and we just kind of went into it. And it's been fun, and we've met a lot of really interesting people, and that's how it started.
Well, it's a beautiful stately home. Do you have much history on that?
Well, the Independence site says it was the home of the guy that started the
Independence Examiner.
Yeah.
And their daughter,
Harry Truman's frequented the house. Beth, what is it, Kurt? Beth Truman's brother married the resident's daughter. So yeah, it has a lot of history in it. It's a cool house.
This is the kind of neighborhoods we like to see. They're all owner occupied, looks like.
Oh, we love this neighborhood. We're all really close, and we get together on all the holidays, and yeah, it's a great neighborhood.
That's all I have.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve case 19-400-08, short-term rental, 641 South Park Avenue,
With recommendations?
with recommendations.
Naturally.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Cindy seconded? Did you second, Ms. McLean?
I did.
All right, thank you. I believe we're ready to take the vote.
Okay.
Brian.
Commissioner Ferguson,
Yes.
Commissioner Dreer,
Yes.
Commissioner Preston,
Yes.
Commissioner Weir,
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean,
Yes.
Chairman Ashball.
Yes. Case number 19-400-08, short-term rental permit for 641 South Park Avenue has been approved. And that's as far as it goes. You don't have to go to the city council. So thank you for bearing with us with these unusual situations here. And thanks for your patience. Good luck to you. We'll see you on May 12th. Okay? About the other one.
Thanks very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is approval of minutes, I believe. Or is there another one that no. Approval of minutes. Anybody have any changes to the minutes?
I didn't.
Hearing no changes, the minutes will stand approved as written. Any issues, items the commissioner wants to bring up to the city staff and vice versa? Oh, Jordan?
Yeah.
Are we, on May 12th, are we still at stay at home or not? You know?
I'm going to say yes. Our current stay at home ends May 15th. So I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
And we are advocating as such. We will let you know if things change after that, but I would just assume until further notice, we're going to have virtual meetings.
Okay. Is the city planning on doing any kind of regular cleaning? All that stuff that is recommended?
What do you mean cleaning of the room downstairs?
The janitors are doing it.
Yeah. The janitors here are cleaning on a regular basis. We do have some staff in the office a couple days a week. So, you know, we're working from home most of the time, and I personally am looking forward to getting back to work. So, or getting back, not necessarily work.
Okay.
We just
So
want to know
that's
if
our
the
only
counter and
one?
the seats are sanitized.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
We have to
are.
bring
They've
our own
been.
cleaning supplies. Do we have to bring our own cleaning supplies?
It'll be clean the next we meet in it. It'll be clean.
Okay. So when's the meeting? Since that's only meeting, May 12th is the only meeting. When's the next one? June? Or we don't know anything about that yet?
Let me double check. We have a case or something pending, but it'll be June 1st is the only meeting in June, it looks like. Oh, no.
June 9th.
Correct. June 9th. Sorry. I was looking at city council meetings. That's my
June 9th. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else that we need to know?
Nothing from staff.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, thanks again. Looks like we got one more of these. Maybe we'll be really professional this time. We've been pretty good this time, I thought. This went a lot smoother. And I
It took
appreciate
me 3
everybody's
weeks.
participation.
Yeah, took me 3 weeks to figure it out. I barely made it to this one.
Well, by the time you get it figured out, hopefully you'll never have to do it again.
It was the drive, Rick.
So, yeah, well, I appreciate everybody's effort. Thank you. But unless there's any objections, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 7:33 p.m. And be safe and good luck.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.